Head coach Jeremy Pruitt's time on campus. Our Rick Russo is joining us live now, breaking all of this down for us. We're just getting this information within the hour, breaking down the violations and the punishments, what this means for UT football, Rick.
Hi, Brittany, and good afternoon, everybody. You know, it's not the worst news ever, but it's not great either. Tennessee gets 5 years probation, no postseason bowl ban, which means Tennessee can still play for an SEC and a national championship. But where it does hit Tennessee is in the area of recruiting, which is why we're bringing in the editor of Volquest.com, our colleague Brent Hubbs. And Brent, let's start at the top. We'll go through these as many as we can here in the next few minutes. But a reduction in scholarships. Now, Tennessee has self-imposed some already, but Tennessee a total of 28 here over this time period.
Yeah, and this is a very manageable number. Everything today for Tennessee is a win, and it's costly because it's going to cost you a big check.
Yeah,
you got to write a big fine. You don't want to lose 28 scholarships, but fans need to understand it's over a period of time, and you've already self-imposed, counting this year, 18. So over the next 4 years, you've got to self-impose 10 more scholarships. So that's 2.3 a year, basically. So 1 year you do 3, and the rest of them you do 2.
26.
See the 28 number, and everybody's going to go, how in the world are you supposed to win with 63 guys on scholarship or 55 guys on scholarship? I don't do math very well. But the reality is they're always going to have 80 or more on scholarship. They're never going to be depleted in the scholarship ranks. So they're not going to tell kids, no, hey, we don't have room for you, you can't come. It's a very manageable number, which is what Tennessee was willing to accept, because their fight in all this was to be able to play in the postseason. Don't take the postseason away.
Exactly, and they still have that in play. Now, Tennessee is also self-imposed in the area of official and unofficial visits, but they take a hit there, too.
Yeah, they do, and that's just a management game. So over this probationary period, Tennessee has 10 games where they cannot have official or unofficial visitors at a game, at a home game. Now, they've already done 2 of those games. The last 2 Thursday night home openers, they didn't have a recruit there, which was fine because it's hard for kids to get on a Thursday night because they got school and high school football the next day. They'll have to find, 8 more of those, and I think 4 of them have to be SEC games. So you get a home game Thanksgiving weekend, probably not hosting a whole lot of guys, right? You just have to manage it, and that's the thing. Tennessee did a lot of work on the front end, Rick, over the last 30 months, so that today is not a swift kick of, oh, my goodness, how do we manage all of this? Sure. Tennessee has a plan in place to make sure this is all manageable.
What does this mean, Brent? A reduction in recruiting communication. That was also mentioned today.
That's one of those about how much can they make calls, how many evaluation days do they have, stuff fans are never going to see. Listen. These kids, there are some kids that are getting ready to sign in December that have made 6, 7 unofficial visits to Tennessee in the last 18 months. Not just for games, but they've come up for junior day. They've come up for the 865 Live. They're coming up for a barbecue. All that's still on the table. All those guys can come. So this does not cripple them in recruiting in any way, shape, or form.
You mentioned big check. $8 million is the fine. Also a 6-year show cause penalty for former head coach Jeremy Pruitt.
Yeah, and Coach Pruitt, I think, knew that it didn't go well in Cincinnati. In my conversations with him leaving Cincinnati, he felt like day 2 was a rough day for them, and he had real concerns. He was hoping for time served to get some of that to where, if it's a 6-year show cause, he's got 2 years behind him, and that's not the case. So hefty penalty for him. We'll see whatever happens to him in coaching. Can he be an analyst with the show calls or anything? Probably not. We'll see what ultimately happens there. As for the fine, a lot of people are going to ask, why didn't you just settle with Jeremy Pruitt and be done and not bring all this on yourself? Remember this. Someone who's no longer an employee at the University of Tennessee in the athletic department sent an email to the chancellor, Donde Plowman, outlining transgressions that were taking place. If she ignores that, that person can take it to the NCAA, and they come to your campus.
Interesting.
And then what do you have? You're talking lack of institutional control. You're talking all kinds of issues there. Did you try to cover it up? As a leader, Donde Plowman had a decision to make at that moment, and the decision she made was to protect the University of Tennessee and to protect the current student athletes. Did it cost them a lot of money? It did. But the goal that she had as a leader was to protect those 2 entities, and today they're protected. Tennessee's not going to suffer. Players are going to get a chance to play for a championship, and you roll right along.
So the end result today, 5 years probation, and as Brent mentioned, no postseason ban. By the way, we're out here at Brent's house in East Knox County. Beautiful house. Thanks for coming.
Listen, one of those days.
He's been busy inside.
We'll fire up the barbecue a little bit later if you want to, Rick.
There you go. Trust me, this man has been busy online and getting all the information out, which we will continue to do throughout the remainder of this day. Reporting live in East Knox County, Rick Russo. Brittany, back to you in the studio.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot. Yeah, you can read all about this right now in your WVLT News app, including more on that $8 million fine, recruiting punishments that the University of Tennessee will face, and much more coming down from the NCAA today. Rick, thanks a lot. Let's get to our first alert weather now. Jacob Turk.